Hello and welcome to Keeping It Young podcast, conversations about marriage, family, and ministry life. I'm Dave.
And I'm Bethlie.
And we are the Youngs.
Welcome to our Thanksgiving special edition.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving week, everybody. And our prayer is that you'll have an amazing week ahead. And
yes,
you'll enjoy it thoroughly. We love Thanksgiving week.
Yes, we do.
And it's for all kinds of reasons.
Yes.
One is that we get to be home almost always.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
And that's always exciting. And this year we have Charity will be with us and Jacob's home from college.
Yes.
And later this week, Matt and Kareth are going to join us.
Are going to join us because they're on this side of the United States.
And our California kids are getting together as well.
Yes, they are.
What an exciting time. We love it.
Yes, and we have more family coming in too. We're excited about that.
Yes, absolutely. So a couple of questions here. What's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving?
I would say being home.
Being home.
Yes, we are. We have been on the road for 10 weeks straight, and it was not really a hardship. We enjoyed every meeting that we got to go to and all the people we got to see. But being away from home for 2.5 months, I love being home.
Absolutely. So now that this may be slightly different, but what's your least favorite thing about Thanksgiving?
I would say as the mom, the chief cook and bottle washer of Thanksgiving, I would say sometimes it's just the busyness of trying to get all the baking and the cooking and the cleaning done so that I can enjoy. And sometimes I feel like I don't quite get to that enjoyment part, which may be more about my spirit than about the cooking, cleaning,
one of the
and
things
baking.
I had to learn here, and here's a little challenge maybe for you husbands out there. One thing I noticed several years ago is if I just take the time to be aware of what's happening at the kitchen sink, because a lot of times, my wife will be baking, and it is amazing how many dishes can add up.
Yes,
and,
true.
You got knives here and forks there and pans here and pots there and beaters. And if I just periodically would grab one of the kids and say, hey, run in with me, let's do the dishes.
Oh, it is amazing.
And we wash them, dry them, and put them away.
Wonderful.
And it really, really does make my wife happy.
Well, you can just move smoothly on then to the next thing without having to stop and do the whole cleanup.
Here's maybe a little more serious. What would you do differently if you could go back when our kids were younger?
Oh, I don't know. We had wonderful Thanksgivings. I really feel like we did. And we had some traditions when we lived in Ohio before we moved to Florida. We would always go to my mother's house and have this huge Thanksgiving. All of us together, all the little cousins playing together. And of course, me and my family just all getting together and having our craziness. But I think if I were to do things differently, maybe I would say that I would have a little more intentional time with the children. Sometimes we would go almost the whole afternoon without seeing them. We would all get together and have a devotional time, and that was fun. And we would sing together, and maybe the kids would do a poem or something, but they would all go play, and they were having fun. But I think maybe having a little more intentional time with our children during that Thanksgiving time. But we have been able to do that. When we moved to Florida, we didn't travel as much on Thanksgiving, so we would have that time.
Absolutely. Many of our friends celebrate differently, and you would be aware of that. We're probably more traditional, traditional Thanksgiving, but I do know that some of our friends do it differently.
Right.
And off the top of your head, what are some of the differences that you're aware of different friends we have that do it differently than maybe we do it?
Right. Well, sometimes it's just because they're from a different part of the country. I know we live mostly on the East, and in the East there does tend to be this more traditional. We've got the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the gravy and all of that stuff. But if you're from New Mexico or from the West somewhere, you may have grown up eating more Southwest type food or Tex-Mex, yes, or something like that. And I also know that sometimes pastors and their families, because they've gotten together with their church family, and they'll do maybe a big church Thanksgiving feast, and they do it maybe that Sunday before Thanksgiving. Maybe the wife has already cooked so many turkeys, she doesn't want to cook any more turkeys or whatever, and so they decide to have something else that day. Sometimes they've just been at home already and they want to go out. And so I have friends that do the whole Black Friday thing. That's not my vibe. but they go out as soon as dinner's done and they go get some of those Christmas deals. So
Sure. And don't we have some friends that like even bring in like Cracker Barrel?
Oh, yes.
Cracker Barrel
because
Thanksgiving.
they have been so busy, whether in their job or their ministry or whatever, they don't want to take that time to do the whole cooking all morning long. Now, I do, in spite of what I said earlier, I do enjoy the process. I do enjoy cooking and baking, but some of my friends, that's not their vibe either. And so they just get their meal from Cracker Barrel.
Absolutely. And
yeah.
why not? Hey, I did, after knowing that we were going to be talking about Thanksgiving for this podcast, I asked Charity in person, but I sent our kids texts. And in the text, I said to our children, hey guys, podcast question, what's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? And when I asked that to Charity, here's what she said. She said, we get to see everybody, we get to eat good food, and it usually means we're going to be staying home for the next month. And that's
spoken like a true evangelist child.
Our Matthew said that his favorite thing about Thanksgiving was the morning of. It's just relaxing. The amazing smells coming from the kitchen all day just preps you for the awesome meal that's to follow.
That's fun.
And then Kareth gave a deep answer, our daughter-in-law Kareth. She said, the deep answer is the spirit behind the holiday. Most people aren't thankful enough these days, so it's nice to put an emphasis on it.
Right.
But then she said, my personal answer, the smell of food, cooking, and just hanging out with everyone before the meal. David didn't answer us because he was in night class last night when I sent this.
Okay, so we'll have to get his answer some other time.
He was teaching, so he didn't get a chance to answer. But Abby, she sent one word. I said, hey, what's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? And she said, food. And then later she sent another text and said, when I was home, the family time, and it just felt special. And then she added this, the last few years I have really enjoyed hosting people for Thanksgiving.
Right.
It's really fun. And then she said, then just sitting with David after everyone goes home. That's pretty special right there, I thought.
It is. And I have enjoyed watching our married adult children do the Thanksgiving holiday on their own. Most of the time they come home for Christmas. So coming home a month earlier and spending all that money on a plane ticket is just, it's not
Sure.
in the budget. So, but they get together, and I have enjoyed watching them open their homes and enjoy their times together, and then have their little time with just their spouse too. I think they have come up with some pretty special holiday traditions.
Very special. Well, Josh and Bethany, I sent the question to them, what's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? And Bethany said, family time and mashed potatoes.
Aha, yes.
And Joshua said, turkey leg. So with an exclamation point.
We didn't hear from Jake? Did we not hear from Jake?
Jake was at work last night when I sent it. So Jake,
he has not answered.
Jake would probably say just getting to be with Dad.
I'm sure he would.
Or probably more like getting to be with Mom.
I would think just as a college student, I don't want to answer for him, but probably getting to come home and spend time with his family, but also food. That boy loves food.
Jake loves food and eats very slowly and usually eats his weight by the time he leaves the table. So Thanksgiving is an amazing time, and I hope your family enjoys it as much as ours do.
Yes.
As ours
does.
That's the right word. So talk to us. Let's just take a few moments here and in this one, talk about the tradition of Thanksgiving.
Why do we even have a tradition of Thanksgiving? A tradition in and of itself is a long-established custom or belief that has been passed on from one generation to another. And we've all been taught, probably sometime in school, that the first Thanksgiving happened somewhere between September and mid-November in 1621.
1621.
Yes, it was when the colonists were giving thanks to God for their bountiful harvest and also for their survival, because that first harsh winter, many of them passed away.
And theirs was a 3-day feast.
It was a 3-day feast.
That's pretty cool.
If you look at pictures of it, the American Indians were there, and there's lots that you could read about that, and you can certainly talk to your children about it and teach them that. But there were many days of Thanksgiving, a call for Thanksgiving or celebration throughout our American history. But it wasn't until George Washington, and I'm looking for the date here, in 1789, he called for a day of Thanksgiving and prayer. And so there was just this special day that they all came together. And then, unfortunately, we had a few presidents that felt like that was inappropriate because we had the division of church and state. We should not call for a day of thanksgiving and prayer.
I know Thomas Jefferson was one of those.
He was one of them, and some other succeeding presidents. And so then it wasn't until President Lincoln in October of 1863 that he announced an official day of Thanksgiving. In fact, he called it a Thanksgiving holiday, and it was going to happen on the fourth Thursday of November for our country to give thanks. He specifically was alluding to the victory that the North had over the South at Gettysburg. But from that time, we just celebrated the fourth Thursday of every November would be a day of Thanksgiving. Now, it was interesting that in, I think it was 1939, that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt decided to move that to the third Thursday of November. And I think his thought was interesting. It would just give the retailers more time to make more money for Christmas.
And that would have been during the Great Depression, right?
Yes, it was right coming off of the Great Depression. So he was trying to boost the economy a little bit. But the American people and Congress so rebelled against it. They were like, no, it's the fourth Thursday of November. It has to be the fourth Thursday. The very next year, he moved it back to the fourth Thursday of November, and it's been that way ever since. And I think that FDR would be pleased with Black Friday then, because it boosts our economy every year.
He would be very happy about that. No doubt about it.
So that's where our tradition of the fourth Thursday of November came from.
Now, George Washington's idea was a day of public thanksgiving and prayer.
Yes.
He wanted it to be public.
Yes.
And then President Lincoln, he was announcing it. He's the one that really we would give credit to saying the Thanksgiving celebration this week was started by Abraham Lincoln.
It was. And he is the one who established it as a national holiday.
A national holiday.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, there you go. So
yes.
Let's talk about these tradition and the different ways. Our family, we always did the turkey. Usually we'd have turkey, and I don't even know why, but apple pie is always part of Thanksgiving, and pumpkin pie.
Because you love apple pie.
Is that why? So
that is why I always make an apple pie.
Well, no, your mom did too.
I don't know. Well, I think it was because you love it so much.
That's why
we didn't always have it growing up.
She made an apple pie just for me.
It's when you joined the family.
And I told her so many jokes.
Right. But we do the traditional turkey dinner with the pies and the yummy food. Sometimes there's football on.
Sure.
Sometimes we'll turn on a Christmas movie. I will say that for me, that is my first day that I listen to Christmas music. I know it's not wrong to do it before then, but while I'm prepping food, that's the day I turn on Christmas music. I keep everything very fall until after Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is for us kind of the ending of our fall, and right after Thanksgiving is when we put up a Christmas tree and start decorating the house, and so then it moves into what we call the Christmas season.
Yeah, so it's not wrong to do it before. I have lots of friends who have already decorated for Christmas, but because I've been away from my house, I like to come home to all of my fall things and still see my fall things because I love fall.
Sure.
And then we move into Christmas. So that's part of our tradition.
And Thanksgiving can be a challenging time on families because sometimes they travel on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And if you've got little ones and you're traveling, that can be very challenging.
It can be difficult. It can be.
So making that work can throw a little caveat there into your Thanksgiving traditions.
Uh-huh.
And there's certainly, Thanksgiving traditions can involve traveling, where we spend it and who we spend it with. But it's also certain foods. The traditional is turkey, I guess. Has that always been considered the traditional?
Yes. I think probably because when you see the pictures or the paintings of the colonists and they're all meeting together, of course, they had their bountiful harvest, but if they were going to have meat, they were going to have to go hunt for it, and turkey would have been plentiful.
And turkey was so plentiful, am I right, in those days that there were some who thought it should be our national bird.
Yes.
For which we are very thankful the eagle won out over that one. Seems a little more majestic.
Yes, it is.
For sure.
It is.
How about the different foods? Is it dressing or stuffing?
See, that's a north and south thing.
Is it really?
I think so.
Which is northern?
I think we would say stuffing up in the north because a lot of northern ladies would actually stuff their bird. And then a lot of Southern ladies do not stuff their bird. They serve it on the side, so they call it dressing.
They call it a dressing. Well,
Yes.
no kidding. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your favorite dessert at Thanksgiving?
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie. We usually have 3 pies, right? We have apple and pumpkin and pecan.
Yes.
And all of those are amazing. Amazing. Where we live, because we live in Florida,
Yes.
we can have traditions that are even different than where we lived in Ohio.
Yes. So we can be outside
Your
more.
father loved to hunt, so sometimes Thanksgiving morning was a rabbit hunt.
Right,
for
but
the
it
guys.
would have been chilly. You guys would have had to bundle up, and us ladies would not have gone outside.
And I always remember coming home from those rabbit hunts with your dad, though, to often the fireplace would be on if it was a
Yes.
colder day.
Yes.
And not on, but started, because your
Yes.
mom always used real wood.
Yes, it was a real fireplace.
And that was pretty awesome. But then down where we live, the climate is so different. Sometimes we have the windows open on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's usually pretty warm.
And
It
we
is.
can have
We can go out on the
fully
patio
relaxing
and-
day. Where did we start the idea that Thanksgiving Day is a time for puzzles?
I don't know. Our family just, because it's relaxing, because we have the time, we can just get out the puzzle and do it. I'm not a puzzle girl, but David is, and several of our children love
my Charity
puzzles.
especially is a puzzle girl. She's
yes.
my puzzle buddy right now. We've done 2 this week.
Yes, you
Smaller ones. But those have been good. And I'm faster than she is, but she always holds one piece of the puzzle under the table. So that when
she
we're
can
all
be the
done, there's
last
one piece missing, and she will always have it.
one. Yes.
I don't know where she gets that. That's interesting.
Probably got it from her dad.
Yeah. So, well, just before we sign off today, whatever the traditions call for, Bethlie and I would believe that we should continually be developing a tradition of giving thanks.
Absolutely.
And Bethlie, even a little research for this episode, the word thanks is found 71 times in the Bible. Thanksgiving is 27 times.
Yes.
The word thank, singular, is 26 times.
Yes.
Thankful is 3 times. And the word praise is 216 times. And so you get the idea that thankfulness is important to God.
Yes, it is.
And in our family, it's important in our home.
Yes, it is.
One of the things we believe with all of our heart in our family is that a heart of gratitude makes everything better.
It does.
It brings contentment. It brings joy. It removes the selfish mindset.
Yes.
It makes us closer to each other. We have this tradition where on birthdays, we always do a Thanksgiving.
Yes,
We're
for
thankful
that
for you.
person. Yes.
And we still need to do that for charity. And because we didn't get to do that for charity
Yes,
yet, but we take a
Thursday
time
birthday.
about give the reasons why you are thankful for your sibling on their birthday.
Right.
On Father's Day, it's why are you thankful for dad, or Mother's Day, why you're thankful for mom. And don't miss the tradition of this week to take time with your family to count your blessings and state them.
Absolutely.
Turn off the TV, turn down the music. On purpose, set aside a time to slow down and just count blessings.
Yes.
Reflect over this year about all the things that's happened in your life, the good gifts from our Heavenly Father.
Yes, make Thanksgiving truly about thankfulness instead of about all the traditions. There should be a tradition of thankfulness involved.
And the 3 words we would share with you perhaps is Thanksgiving is a good time to evaluate. Take some time to think, do I have a thankful heart or an entitled heart?
Yes. What is entitlement?
And what is entitled? How would you define that?
It is, according to the dictionary, believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privilege or special treatment.
And we kind of live in a culture that
Yes,
leans that way, don't we?
We do. And sometimes we think, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this culture. They are so entitled. But how easy is it for us, even as Christians, to have an entitled mindset?
And entitlement always includes being bothered.
Yes.
I can't believe you're in my way.
Yes.
I can't believe I had to wait. I can't believe you
Yes.
didn't speak to me. I can't believe you were rude to me.
Right.
And the list just
I can't
never
believe this
ends.
Thanksgiving turkey is taking so long to roast.
And mom
Yes.
is asking me to help do the dishes. And the list just goes on and on.
Yes,
but
it
we
does.
need to evaluate where we are. And don't be discouraged in an evaluation. How many times do you have to say to your kids, hey, say thank you?
Yes.
How many times have we reminded our kids, say thank you, show thankfulness?
Right.
And don't be discouraged in that, because thankfulness is a decision.
It is.
And the Bible commands us to be
It
thankful.
does. In Psalm 100 and in Colossians 3:15. I'll look those up while you keep going here.
Okay.
And then we can read them because they're
Well, Psalm
important.
100, is the passage where we get our family verse.
Yes.
Serve the Lord with gladness and come before his presence with
Thanksgiving.
There it
So
is.
I'm looking up Colossians 3:15 right now. It says, "And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful."
Yeah, and it's connected to having God's peace in our heart.
It is. And sometimes we think, oh, it's so hard to be thankful, or I am thankful, I'm not entitled. But if we really examine our heart and really evaluate, we know that we're not being thankful.
Yeah.
But it is a decision.
It's a good thing perhaps to evaluate yourself, but during this family, just maybe ask the question, how thankful would you say that you are? And then you can add to that, tell us the top 10 things that you would say I am most thankful for, or the top 5.
Right. Usually when David asks our family for something to be thankful for, he doesn't just say, give me one thing. He'll say, give me 3 things, or give me 5 things, because then you have to really think, wow, how thankful am I?
And when
I
you
can
have
only
5
think of
kids, like we do, sometimes they go, well, you just stole mine. And
they're allowed to repeat because they're
so you
allowed to be
can.
thankful for the same
So
thing.
the first word is evaluate.
Yes.
That's something we can do this Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And the second word is begin.
Yes.
And Bethlie's idea behind that was her word, was start a thankfulness tradition.
Yes.
And she even brought up this word. It's just almost hard to say. Pinterest. Pinterest has several craft ideas you can do with your children.
Yes.
A thankfulness tree, or a thankfulness jar, or a Thanksgiving wall.
Right. You can tie things to a tree, or you can put things in a jar. You can write them down. You can put them up on the wall so that you can see what the Lord has done, so that you can daily or throughout the day. I don't know what word I was trying to think of there.
I'd help you, but I can't read your mind that well.
You can constantly see what the Lord has done and remind yourself. So start a Thanksgiving tradition, a thankfulness tradition. I just talked about how that David will say to us, okay, give me something that you're thankful for. In fact, give me 3 things that you're thankful for, that you could steal that one. I don't know.
And my warning to you about that is a little bit, this Pinterest idea is not wrong. But I think sometimes our culture, especially some of you young mommies, and it can get the idea that we've got to make it an event.
Yes.
And sometimes you can get so bogged down in the event of putting together a wall or putting together
in the craftiness
that
of it.
It all gets frustrating. Life's already busy, so maybe
keep it simple.
If that's your cup of tea and you can do it with a happy heart,
yes,
then do it.
Yes.
But if not, keep it simple.
Yeah.
And just start a Thanksgiving tradition that's simple. Go around the table.
If your thankfulness tradition causes you not to have a thankful heart, then maybe you're getting a little bit too Pinteresty, and you should keep it simple. Just get a mason jar and some 3x5 cards.
Sure, and choose a family verse for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a family, just do it yourself.
Right.
But we'll pick a family. We have done Psalm 100 and verse 4.
Yes.
And maybe the Colossians 3 one would be a good one for us this year.
Yes.
But we'll pick a verse this week, and we'll go through that verse. We'll say it before we have Thanksgiving meal, and we'll say it before we pray throughout this week.
Yes.
And that's a good thing to do. So the first word's evaluate. We're about out of time here. The second word is begin a tradition, begin. Yes. The third word is combat. Did you mean, this was Bethlie's word. Are we going to have a fight this Thanksgiving?
No. I mean, sometimes the kids have like a Nerf war or something, but no, not that kind of combat. We do need to combat entitlement or bad attitudes or general grumpiness by redirecting our hearts constantly to thankfulness.
I figured that's what you meant.
Yes.
But it's a good word, combat.
It is.
And we're to combat all the things that rob us of a grateful heart. And whatever you do this week, this is an unusual time. There's sometimes political issues and financial issues, and some of you are probably facing some real health issues. Some of you, this is your first Christmas without maybe without a spouse.
Or first Thanksgiving.
Or the first Thanksgiving, rather, without your husband or wife, or maybe some others, maybe your son's in the military and he's deployed this Christmas. There can be a lot of things that quiet our heart and make us feel sad on Thanksgiving.
Sober our heart.
But this is a time for us to look to our Heavenly Father, to count our blessings, and to even revel or marvel in how good God has been to us.
Yes.
And so Bethlie and I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, we do.
And we want to thank you for being part of our Thanksgiving. We never thought when we started the Keeping It Young podcast that we would meet so many great people.
Yes.
and hear from so many people. And
Absolutely.
have so many chances to laugh. There's been so many times as we're getting all this stuff ready that we've just behind the scenes been laughing at silly things that came up.
We can't even record because we're laughing so hard.
And there's things that we've had to delete because we said them the wrong way. It's been a fun journey. Our hearts are full this week, not only because of you that listen to us and all of you that go to churches that support us, the pastors that treat us so kindly,
yes,
the churches that have helped us this year to upgrade to our new RV,
right,
the children that God has blessed us with, and their spouses.
yes,
And watching our children love God and serve Him, and just, it has been a phenomenal and incredible year.
it has been.
And our God is good.
Yes.
And that's what we wish for you. A happy Thanksgiving. Any final words there?
We would just we are very thankful for you, and we're thankful for your prayers, and we're thankful for your support and for listening.
Yes, and that's where we'll end it. Visit us, keepingityoungpodcast.com.
Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
If you have a unique tradition,
yes,
we'd love to hear about it.
We'd love to hear about it.
And thank you so much for being our friends. May God bless you, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
The Keeping It Young podcast is a Bax 5 Media production.